connect. Oh! Hi, it's
We're
8
on.
o'clock. We're on, and our clock is dinging.
Just finished.
8 o'clock for date night. So we are excited to share with you guys tonight a little bit. So Jennifer and Andy Smith, date night with our Marriage Maker tips for you live Friday night. So like normally we like to watch movies instead of watch ourselves on Facebook Live. And so like I have my popcorn right here. So probably like when we're done talking to you guys, we'll go do our popcorn and maybe a movie. I don't know what we'll do. But anyway, happy date night to everybody. And as you can see in the post, we're going to be talking a little bit tonight about what is the best present, or one of the best presents that you can give your spouse and those that you love, right? And were you going to say something?
Well, I think I was going to say what you're going to say. One of the best presents is your presence. And I don't mean like, let me grace you with my presence. I'm here, never fear, everything is good. I'm not talking about that arrogant, cocky stuff that just because I'm here, your life is better. Not that kind of presence, but tell them what you mean by presence. Because when she first mentioned this, we should talk about this topic, I just kind of, okay, well, I don't know what that means. But
yeah.
no, I've got some ideas. I've been thinking about it, and so we've got some experience. We've got some stories. We all have got experience and stories, but anyway,
So,
tell them what you mean.
One of the best presents that we can give our spouse and our loved ones is to be more present. Present in the moment, okay? So we have some funny stories to share with you guys tonight about that, but we'd like you to post in the comments maybe how you can be more present with those that you love, your spouse, your kids, you know, people that you love to be around. So share how you can be more present, or maybe share how you are present with your family, and share some tips with us. That would be awesome. So
And Patty says hi.
Oh, hi Patty.
And Julie, hi Julie.
Hi Julie, we're doing date night, so fun stuff. So I'm going to start out by talking about winter. We don't know if it's spring or winter here in Utah because the weather is like, I think all around the country the weather's been crazy, right? And so we had this big winter storm warning for this weekend, and the snow was slow coming, but it came. But it reminded me of times that Andy and I have been traveling, especially through the Sardine Canyon on the way home from some meeting or something, and how we've driven in blinding snowstorms. Now, I think that's what you do when you're under the age of 35.
Definitely.
You're crazy, and you get out on roads like that where it's such blinding snow that you do not know which side of the road you're on.
Or even if you're still on the road.
On the road. It's so scary. And if the vehicle coming at you are in their right lane, or they're on the road or off the road. I mean, it's so scary. Now, in that situation, guys, do you think that you're very present? You are so alert.
Your focus is very
like your
keen.
hands
It's
are
there.
like on the steering wheel, and you are like, yeah, you are present as you can be. I mean, it's a matter of life or death, right? Matter of life or death. Anybody been there? Scary things where you are just so focused in the moment. But as we go about our everyday lives, and you know, spouses talking to us, kids are talking to us, we kind of tune out sometimes. Anybody ever been there? Ever been? Or like
Tabitha, Rita, and Alan, I saw just joined us. I'm trying to really be present with you guys because I'll tell you, my brain hasn't quite yet made this connection that this recording device actually represents you people that are watching, and so my mind just wants to go on something that maybe is a little more interesting looking than that recording device. So like the snow out there, let's see how the weather's doing. look at the spider walk across the ceiling. I don't know. So,
no, but be present. Come on. Be present.
Yeah, right.
Be present
right
in the
here.
moment, right? So the focus on the people. I mean, so how many times have you spoken to someone and all of a sudden they said, what? And you're like, I was talking to you for 5 minutes. You didn't hear what I was telling you, you know?
Oh, I did for the first 3 words, and then, I don't know, my brain just took a hike.
But maybe that's the age thing. You know, I do hear, you know, people that have hearing problems. We're not quite that old yet. But, you know, maybe it's because you didn't actually, really, they didn't hear you. But no, like, sometimes we just zone out. Or, like, you know, like, we might have one of these in our hands, and we're just kind of, like, clicking through some stuff. Or, you know, you've seen this. People in the same room, oh, let's see, you know, like, we're so present, and it's a joke, and it's really a sad joke. I heard of a mom who had a party with her daughter and the daughter's friends, and they're all in the room, like 4 of them, all on their cell phones, and they're having a party together, and the mom's like, you give me those cell phones, and they put those away, and they became
Pass the basket.
Present, right? Let's be present. So I don't know. I don't want to talk a lot about technology. We have some other fun things to share, but you know that we know that technology can cause havoc with our relationships because we're not focused, and I'm somewhat guilty of that too. But I want to share a story, guys, another funny story about being present in the moment. You know, when you're first engaged, before you got married, you're so like Twitter-pated, right? And you might get distracted like he did one time. So I don't know, we were over to Logan. I think we were getting ready.
We didn't live in Logan
yeah,
yet.
so
we
were
do now.
Getting stuff settled into our apartment or whatever, cleaning, bringing stuff over. And we're driving along and just having a conversation, and I'm looking, and there's like a stop sign, and he's driving, and I'm looking, and I'm
driving.
like, there's a stop sign, and he just drives through the stop sign. I'm like, oh my gosh, he just went through a stop sign. So I think he was like really in love or something, just like Twitter-pated.
Something,
you know?
yeah. There was a good reason for running the stop sign.
So, you know, that's funny story. So that's like a good reason when you're newly in love. There again, it was a life or death situation. No, I mean, obviously if there was cars coming, he maybe would have paid attention and thought, oh, I think there's a stop sign right there. But there was no cars coming, so no harm done. But just a funny story there. So I want to share a few tips. And there again, if you're just joining us, listening to the recording, share tips of how you are able to be more present and in touch with communication with your spouse, your kids, your loved ones, or share a way that maybe you can improve. But so the first idea I had is to really listen, right? And that means eye to eye. And so we're like eye to eye with you guys. He's kind of joking about trying to get used to the fact that there's real people there, right? So eye to eye. That means like if I'm sitting at the computer and it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and my 17-year-old finally wants to have a conversation.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, how are you doing?
And Alvin.
Oh, hi guys. So if my 17-year-old wants to have a conversation at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and of course it's I'm only up that late because I'm maybe doing work on the computer, right? And so how is it for me to just sit there looking at the computer, and he's actually really wanting to have a conversation, which is rare, like my 17-year-old boy, right?
Yeah, she pointed at me, but she meant the son.
Yes, my 17-year-old boy, I'm talking about him wanting to have a conversation 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And so I try to be really good. Now, I'm not always perfect, but I try to actually stop what I'm doing, okay, and turn around and give him that eye-to-eye contact and have a real conversation, right? Because then he knows that I'm listening to him. He feels loved. He feels appreciated that I want to have this conversation with him. And I gotta say, though, because I love to cook. Okay, so if I'm in the kitchen cooking, and if my husband comes in and starts talking, or any of my kids or whatever, if they come in and I'm cooking, sometimes I think it's okay to say, wait, I need like 2 minutes, because if I'm measuring something out and I'm like 3 or 4 minutes away from popping something in the oven, I think it's fair to put them on pause for a minute if they can wait for a few minutes and kind of finish that little task you're doing so that then I can go, oh, now I'm ready to talk to you and I won't ruin your dinner and get too much salt or too much seasoning in there, right? So, you know, we all have such busy, busy lives, but I think that the best present we can give, one of the best presents, is to be present with our spouse, with their kids, and to show that we really care, that they're more important than maybe the work I'm doing, the household chores, the cooking or whatever, although, you know, yeah, we still have to kind of manage that. But we really need to put each other as priorities. I have these conversations.
I was thinking about some of those conversations that we've had, and I realized something. She's talking, and I'm supposed to be listening, right? Be present and be there, and she goes on and on and on, and then she's done, and then she walks away, and I'm thinking, I think I was supposed to get something, and I missed it because my mind.
Ever been there?
My mind was like the spider on the ceiling, or my garden, or whatever. My mind was. It was wandering, right? And what she said is a really, really good thing. It shows where your priorities are. It shows what is really important to you. But I realized what I was doing in that moment is because I was afraid to say, hold on, back up. I know you just told me a bunch of stuff and I missed it. I'm sorry I missed it. Would you tell me again, and this time I'll really try to be here. I'll try to be present. I don't do that very much. And I realized why as I was thinking about that today. It's because in that moment I was afraid to admit that I wasn't present. And so temporarily my priorities shifted from her being my priority and being present with her to my priority became my own ego, right? I was afraid to admit that really I'm not here with you. And so being present is not always an easy thing. It does take some practice. And I think it takes the two of you, because I shouldn't be afraid to say, Jennifer, I'm sorry, I missed it.
My mind was like over there.
I missed it. But because you're important to me, I've stopped. I've got it. I'm back here now, and just tell me again, and I'll be right here, and I'll get it this time. We shouldn't be afraid to be vulnerable. So that's another thing. That's a whole other topic, being vulnerable. Yeah. Be vulnerable enough to get your priorities back in order and say, sorry, I missed it. Let's try again. And hopefully Jennifer's going to appreciate the fact that I am trying.
Not that my mind ever goes anywhere.
So it's really interesting in a lot of different ways in our lives. We have these things that are valuable to us, the things that are very most important. And we work with a lot of people, and we ask this question a lot. What do you value most? What are you fighting for in life? What is the things that are high on your priority list? And family is always at the top of the list, of everyone's list. But it's so interesting that even though we all have that common high priority, that spouse, children, other family, they're right at the top, we don't always act like it. We do things, we say things that temporarily communicate or show that that priority changes just in that moment. You know, like she's talking, when the son or the daughter, whatever, the child wants to come and talk to you, and you're busy doing stuff, and you just kind of,
And we
then
little kids we do that
away,
with,
right?
which is sad because we think they are not communicating on a very deep level. So yeah, we do the thing.
So
and it's like,
that's why this topic of learn how to be present with your spouse or your children or whoever it is that you're with, be present with them, because in that moment, the other human beings are more important than all the other stuff. And if we can learn to keep that priority by being present, it'll change a lot of things in your life. Just learning to be present, but it does take practice.
So I want to share another funny story. It's about my daughter and her son, my little grandson, They were traveling in a vehicle going somewhere, obviously. Anyway.
Oh, Holly and Brian are with us.
Oh, hi guys. Welcome. We're talking about the importance of giving that wonderful gift of being present. Being present with your spouse, with your kids, really being present in the moment and focused on them and listening and communicating well. So my daughter, she's driving somewhere. Son is sitting behind her eating one of those big fat marshmallows, you know. And she's kind of looking back, and I'm sure he's all sticky and gooey. And so she says, "Hey, are you done with that marshmallow?" And he, mumbled something because, his mouth is probably full of this gooiness. And she just assumed he's like, "Yeah, I'm done, Mom. I'm done with my marshmallow." So she reaches back, grabs the marshmallow, chucks it at the window, to which he starts screaming at the top of his lungs. And she's like, "Oh, I guess he didn't really mean I'm done with my marshmallow that Mom just threw out the window, right?" And so there again, he joked a little bit about, and it's not really a joke, when somebody's talking to us and they finish talking and we're like, "I think I only heard half of what they said." And then we're embarrassed to say, "What was that?" And I do this quite often. And he talked about being vulnerable. I try to be vulnerable more often than not and just say, "I really didn't catch the last few sentences or few minutes." I don't know. Like, it's embarrassing. But we've also joked about having the conversation twice, And it's embarrassing, guys. We can get better at being more present in the moment, present in the conversation, giving the attention and respect to our spouse, to our kids. So I have a few tips to share, and then I know he has a cool story and some other things to share. And, we're not going to be here all night because we do want to get to the popcorn and maybe a movie, right? So, but we really wanted to share some of these fun ideas with you guys. So first of all, just trying to keep our minds focused. That's pretty obvious. And if you have some tips of how to be more present with your spouse or kids, please put your tips there, what works for you. But just keeping your mind focused. Now, you've heard a lot about, don't think about what you're going to say next, which is really hard. But when we're thinking about what we're going to say next, we're missing. Your mind cannot be in two places at once, guys. The idea of multitasking is a myth. Even for women, we cannot multitask.
Although women juggle better than men.
Juggle, or we dovetail things, right? I always say, like, I can run down, put some laundry in, I can go start dinner, I can be on the phone talking, but the brain can only be in one place. So really listen to that person and try and understand what they're telling you, or you're going to miss something. If you're thinking, what am I going to respond? What am I going to say to this? And especially when there's contention. Boy, that is like the hardest time, right? Because you're upset.
When you're boiling over here, you got to let it out, right?
And
you're not listening.
It's like, take a deep breath. Gain some emotional self-mastery here, which we love teaching. We love teaching that. But super important there, again, to be focused and present on what they're saying. Sometimes we're thinking about things in the past, things that have stressed us out. And I'm talking in the past, guys. I'm talking about way in the past. Maybe there was contention or argument or a traumatic event, and now you're talking to this person and something they say triggers you, and now your brain just went off 10 years ago in the past. I mean, seriously, guys, we do that all the time. And it's like, take a breath, come back around, let's focus. He's not going to get mad and walk out the door. Right? Yeah, be in the moment.
Stop carrying yesterday's garbage into your life today.
Yeah. And then it's thinking about the future. And me, I tend to have a to-do list of 20 things. Tip for you, choose 3 to 5 of the most important things you need to get done today. So when my spouse wants to talk to me, I'm not freaking out because I only got 2 things done off my list of 30 things for today, right? So there again, priorities. What's more important, getting your to-do list done or taking time to listen to your spouse, to listen to your child? And I'm not saying neglect responsibilities, right? But I'm just saying put priorities first. People are more important than getting things done. So, yeah. Okay, so I told you the marshmallow story. I'm gonna let him share some important things about being interested when they're talking to you. Because sometimes it's like, I'm sorry, I was like really watching this video on YouTube, and now you came in and interrupted me to talk to me.
So I know she's busy doing stuff. She's got a lot on her to-do list, and I'll just walk in and I have to tell her everything I'm doing. I just like to share what I'm doing, everything. And
like, my client's credit card is not working. How do we fix it? I don't know.
And so I just have this need to share, and I know those things aren't important to her, and maybe I don't necessarily need her to respond, but I just need someone to talk to. I just have to say it. And it's better than, I'm not really accustomed to just looking in the mirror and blabbing out my gardening stuff and my mentoring stuff. So I'll tell her.
Saves money on counseling, guys, too.
If
you don't listen to your spouse, you're going to need counseling. That's a lot of money.
So
Listen.
I know, I can tell her, and sometimes I don't really need her to be present. It's okay. I just need to say it. That's all I need.
I'm there physically, but maybe my brain is off on something else.
So sometimes it's okay.
You guys have never done that.
But she should be at least present enough to be able to know, okay, this is one of those things that he needs me to hear, that I need to be with, or this is one of those things that he's just reporting, and it's no big deal. But I was saying before that we all have our values, these things that are really high, top of our list of what's important to us. And if we both made a list, I make a list, Jennifer makes a list, we might have a lot of the same things on our top 10 list, but they're not in the same order. And so when I want my seed starting operation to go well, that means nothing to her. It's like, it's not even there, okay? But being present with the people you love, it requires that you at least be present in those moments when they need to share what's important to them, that in that moment, it is as important to you as it is to them. That means so much. And I love this story that I came across. Really illustrates this well. So a father realized that his young preteen son was just gaining this super interest in baseball. The father never played baseball, never cared, not a big deal to him, not really interested at all. But his son was really, really into it and just wanted to learn and be a part of baseball. The father went and bought like a package, some kind of package ticket thing, and they traveled for 6 weeks, and they went from city to city, and they were able to observe live many of the Major League Baseball teams play. And it took them 6 weeks, and expensive too, right? That's not going to be a cheap thing. And when the father got back to work, one of his coworkers said, "Wow, do you really like baseball that much?" And the father said, "No, but I like my son that much." So even if it's not important to you, remember what's most important in your life. If your child is most important in your life, then the things that are important to them need to be important to you, at least in those moments when you're with them. Be present. And sometimes, to show that you are valuing what they value and to have that connection, it requires sacrifice. And maybe this is a little bit of a tangent on our topic tonight, but sacrifice. But love requires sacrifice. Love requires being present. And I know there's different levels and different kinds of sacrifice. And most of the time we think about sacrifice as we're going to give up something that we want, that's important to us, to better serve someone else. And that is a sacrifice, and that is one level of sacrifice. We can also give up something that we want for something that we want even more. And think about that. That is really closely related to this other level of sacrifice where let's give up something that we don't want for something that we do want. Do you ever think about you can sacrifice pride to gain humility? You can sacrifice some selfishness to gain compassion. So sacrificing to be present, to value what someone else values, really means a lot. It is really important to have that kind of sacrifice in your life. Sacrificing something that we think some of these sacrifices, when you sacrifice, you think you're giving up something you want to serve someone. Like the father, he sacrificed time and money for his son, to show his son that he was interested in him because of what he was interested in. So they spent that time together. But the father also, he sacrificed being selfish to gain a deeper connection with his son. So it works together. Sometimes we think we're sacrificing and giving up things that we don't want for something that we'd rather, or no, I'm saying it backwards now. To sacrifice something that we want for the benefit of someone else. And whenever we do that, there's always the other side to it. So the father sacrificed probably time and money that he would have rather spent doing something else. So he gave that up. He gave up something he wanted for his son. But he also gave up something that he didn't want in his life, which was being selfish. He gave that up right alongside, parallel with that sacrifice. So remember, when we're making sacrifices, and sometimes it feels tough, always look at the other side of the sacrifice and know the thing that you're giving up that you don't want is just as important as that thing that you're giving up that you do want. And the things that we gain when we sacrifice are always way more valuable than what we're giving up. All a part of being present.
Very awesome. He's like Mr. Deep Wisdom. I love that story, though, and that idea about sacrificing and being more present for our family. But it's hard, guys. I mean, we do. We have so many responsibilities, so much on our plate. He's like a gardener and a mentor and a father and a husband, and he serves in the church and the bishopric calling as a counselor there. And so we all have so much on our plate. So I wanted to share a few more tips for you guys, if that's okay. It's like, wow, we're not having any problem talking for date night. You know, we're like, oh, we'll talk to you guys for 15 minutes, and I think we've been going on for a while. But if you have ideas of how to be more present, what works for you, please share those, or maybe just share how you want to be more present with your spouse or your children, those people that you love so dearly. So I want to share a few ideas, though, because our brains get racing, right? I've talked about that a little bit. We get too much on our to-do list. So one thing that we can do is literally train our brains. And I'm not going to share anything that you probably haven't heard before. But when you think about the importance of your relationship with your spouse, with your child, with those that matter most to you, it's important to train that brain to focus so you can have the eye-to-eye contact and that you're paying attention and understanding what they're saying. But it does take effort training our brain. So how? A few suggestions, guys. I love doing yoga. Yoga is a great way to kind of bring the body and spirit together, the physical and the spiritual together, and to calm you down, right? Because sometimes in life, we literally disconnect from our body. I do energy work, and one of the things that we check is that the heart and mind are connected and balanced, as well as that the body and spirit are connected. And that sounds a little weird, but sometimes in life, when we've had trauma or strong emotional things happen to us, our spirit literally kind of disconnects from our body. And so imagine that. When you think about communicating with your spouse or loved one, that when you're not totally in your body and present, and your physical mind is not, and your spirit is not all connected, it's really cool stuff. So, you know, be a yogi. Do a little bit. I don't do a lot. I do it maybe a couple times a week at the most, but it's awesome. The other thing, of course, is meditation. Meditation is weightlifting for the brain. Okay, we're going to exercise the brain to control our thoughts. And the funny thing about meditation is you're trying to control nothing. When you get good at meditation, and this is different than prayer. I want to talk about prayer in a minute because I'm going to give you a challenge. But with meditation, typically the idea is you're learning to just not think. You're learning to just kind of chill out, relax, slow your breathing down, and not think about anything, not worry. So I have another fun thing to share with you guys. I love it. It's on my phone. This is my husband's phone, but it's an app you can get for free, okay? So if you're not sure about meditation, how to do it, this app is called Calm, C-A-L-M, app. And you can upgrade, you can pay more money. I haven't done that yet. But one of my favorite things on there is when I'm stressed out and my brain's not focused and I need to work on brain training, calming down, de-stressing basically, guys, that's part of it. I will turn on my app there and I will go to the mountains. And there's a little lake and there's mountains and there's birds and you can hear the water kind of rippling. And so, you know, if any of you have been camping or out in nature and you love that kind of thing and that's calming for you, it's awesome. They also have like a crackling fireplace scene. There's rain. There's a rain one. So there's lots of cool stuff that can help train your brain to be calm and to be focused. So another challenge I have for you is to help be more present. We talk about communicating with our spouse, communicating with our children, those that we love most, but to be present when we're communicating with God. And you know, all of our Christian friends out there, I'm sure we all pray, right? But are we present? Are we doing those rote kind of prayers where, oh, I thank thee for this and that, and help me with this and that, and bless my kids, bless my grandkids, bless my dog. Okay, and then you hop up, you know, amen, and you hop up and you're done. Like, are we present with God? And that's what I love about nature. That's what I love about my Calm app, going to the mountains, because nature somehow seems to connect us with God. But in our everyday routine, busy lives, sure, we want to check that prayer off, right? Maybe in the morning, maybe at night, if we gather our family for prayer, hey, we did it. But were we present? Boy, that is tough. Even from, you know, little kids, we try and teach them, fold your arms, be present, and our minds wander. I mean, my mind wanders, you know, especially if someone else is praying. So I'm going to give you guys a challenge for the next 30 days. Challenge you, pray twice a day, speak with God, be present as best you can, 5 minutes. And some people, you're like, oh, that's not very long. In fact, I've prayed some days and I looked at the clock and I'm like, oh, well, let's see, I'm going on 12, 13, 14 minutes because I am present with God and I'm having a conversation with Him.
And that feels so good that it's easy to stay there when you get into that kind of emotional state.
So when you're so present with God, time just flies. But I challenge you, try it. 5 minutes in the morning, at least 5 minutes at night. Set a timer if you have to. And see how that improves your communication with God and being more present with God. And what a blessing to be able to go to Him for the help in our relationship challenges. Because we all have our struggles. We are all so far from perfect. But learning to be present in the moment, you know, maybe it's not life or death situation when your spouse is trying to speak to you or your child is trying to speak to you. Maybe it's not like when you're driving in that blizzard in the canyon and you don't know which side of the road you're on and you're very present in the moment. But over time, learning to be present in those relationships is life or death of those relationships. It's very, very important. So love your families, love your spouse, go have a great date night.
Hold on.
I'm going to do my popcorn, but he's going to say, he's going to...
So just because she brought up the prayer thing and being present with God, we've already talked about part of being present is your intent listening, that you're really there listening. Sometimes we kind of miss that part when we think about praying. She challenged a 5-minute prayer. That 5 minutes doesn't mean that you are speaking, just going for 5 minutes straight, and then you finish and you're done. You were able to carry on a one-sided conversation for 5 minutes. If you want to be present with God and have a 5-minute prayer that is really meaningful, that includes listening time. I mean, really listening. Are you listening to what you're saying? Are you listening to what He is saying? That can really be an interesting experience. So remember that really focused, intent listening is part of being present. It counts with God as well as anyone else that you're being present with.
So give the best gift of being present, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Have a good night.
And share your ideas for being present or how you want to be more present.
Yeah, there are a lot of smart people out there. A lot of people doing a lot of good things. So let's share and combine our knowledge. And there used to be a song we used to listen to that I'm not as smart alone as we are together. That fits for everything. We all should just do more to combine the best of all of us, and that just raises us all. So let's keep doing that.
Okay, good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
See you later.